What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. Join us now as we look at this week's edition of Dynamite, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Tonga joining the Bloodline, a former WWE superstar now charged with murder, Riddle reveals the drug he was actually on that failed his wellness test, AEW's big problem, Meltzer defends wrestling fans who booed Maxxine out of the building, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new videos on Wrestlelamia Shorts. Now, as always, won't recap the show, but just look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number one, it's Sting. Last night's subplot of the Young Bucks looking for Sting climaxed into a violent showdown as Matthew and Nicholas Jackson dealt with the Stinger's mind games, including a group of fans at ringside wearing Sting masks and one of them being Darby Allin in disguise. While the segment was a little predictable, especially Ric Flair's fake 10 on Darby Allin, Sting's descent from the rafters made it all the worthwhile. This could even be the last time he comes down from the rafters. It was an epic spot that was a perfect way to build up Sunday's retirement match and celebrate Sting's last night on Dynamite. Number 2, Sky Blue vs Statlander was pretty good. Although AEW's women's division is still mid, last night's Sky Blue vs Chris Statlander bout was pretty good, and it was helped by the storyline of TBS champion Julia Hart's ongoing war with Statlander and Stockley Hathaway's schemes. As we suggested before, if AEW insists on pushing its broken women's division, it should at least use the few talented workers on its roster rather than featuring less talented workers. Number 3, excellent trios match. Last night's trios match was exciting and a great way to kick off Dynamite, as the Blackpool Combat Club's Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli and Bryan Danielson got a win over the FTR and Eddie Kingston to build up their match at Revolution. This match made it clear that the FTR is in for a hell of a fight against Mox and Castagnoli, as is Eddie Kingston as he defends the Triple Crown against the American Dragon. Number 4, Swerve Strickland promo. Swerve Strickland continues to crush it with his mesmerizing promos and his slow turn from heel to babyface. Much like Stone Cold Steve Austin did when he turned from a heel to an anti-hero during the Attitude Era, Strickland hasn't changed anything about his act other than gaining fans' respect for his toughness and attitude. Hangman Adam Page also deserves credit for his heel turn, and the Strickland Page double turn is a great example of how entertaining these angles can be when executed properly. And will he, or won't he, wants Will Ospreay's game? While Don Callis is always looking out for a number 1, it looks like he's in for a big surprise if he thinks he's going to play Will Ospreay, as he's done with the other members of the Don Callis family. Sunday's match between Ospreay and Takeshita will be an instant classic. We're just interested in how Ospreay is going to deal with Callis. That was a good what about the bad, is number 1, not the strongest go-home show for a pay-per-view. Last night's Dynamite wasn't the kind of show that had fans scrambling to order Revolution. There were some good matches and of course a spectacular segment involving Sting, but what about the rest of the show? AEW knows it gets its good buy rate for its shows, but why isn't it trying to bring in more buys? It's the same problem AEW has with its weekly TV. It knows it has a core audience, but it just doesn't seem interested in growing it. And Bang Bang Scissor Gang is dragging down Acclaimed. A Bullet Club Gold has struggled to get over since it debuted in AEW, and sadly pairing it with the Acclaimed is doing nothing to help it. Instead, the Acclaimed is getting dragged down. The pairing of the two groups doesn't feel organic, and the Acclaimed have lost their edge. But at least it was nothing downright ugly, as it was an average show until the big finale involving Sting descending from the rafters. AEW's reluctance to book more exciting shows is puzzling as the company continues to struggle selling tickets and growing its audience. What did you guys think of Dynamite last night? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the news. Our first story looks at a former WWE superstar now charged with murder. On top of today's news is a report from Portland, Oregon's Point 6 News concerning former WWE superstar Billy Jack Haynes. Former pro wrestler William Albert Billy Jack Haynes Jr. was released from a hospital Wednesday afternoon and was taken to jail on murder charges, the Portland Police Bureau announced. Hayes was booked into the Multnomah County Detention Center for charges of murder in the second degree and unlawful use of a weapon, officials announced. Haynes had previously been hospitalized while in police custody for what officials said was a medical issue not connected to the alleged crime. He was arrested on February 8th after neighbors reported a possible shooting. Law enforcement officers discovered the body of Haynes' wife, Jeanette Becraft, after a brief standoff with Haynes. How incredibly awful news. Next up, Tonga joining the Bloodline. Now that Tonga is signed with the WWE, fans are eager to see how the promotion books him. According to a recent report from Dave Meltzer, Tonga could end up in the Bloodline even though he's technically not part of the Anoa'i family. He's on his way, don't know the role, very likely at some point, could be part of the Bloodline situation because he's considered family by all those guys. If they need somebody new, it could be him. It's unknown where things are going with the Bloodline now that The Rock has joined the group. While Tama could be a good addition, he could get lost in the shuffle and the WWE might want to consider a different role for him. As for when Tama will arrive in the WWE, Meltzer mused, a year ago he'd been talking with WWE. I don't know the start date or anything, but he's done in New Japan, so in theory he should be starting pretty soon. And with WrestleMania coming soon, Tonga could have a major role in the showcase of the Immortals if the WWE decides to put him in the Bloodline. Next up, should WWE take Austin Theory off TV? Well, Eric Bischoff thinks so, as ATM Eric discussed how Theory's career seemed to stall of late and suggested on his 83 Weeks podcast that if he was running things, I'd probably take him off the air until I figured out what I really want to do with him, even if it took a couple of months of character work and exploration and trying different things and bringing him back, because the audience is still kind of resisting him just a bit. He praised Theory's skills and look, but Theory's career seemed to have stalled. Do you guys agree with Eric Bischoff? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, a former WWE star compares Triple H to Vince McMahon. What is it like working for Triple H as opposed to Vince McMahon? Well, fans have heard many rumors that wrestlers and employees feel much more comfortable working with Triple H, and now former WWE superstar Matt Riddle is sharing his take on things. With Triple H in control, a lot more control, in the sense of things are organized, at least when I was there. If they were scheduled for this, unless something catastrophic happened, if somebody got injured or something's not going to work out, that's what's happening the next day. They write it, it's actually happening. Riddle spoke with the MMA Hour's Ariel Helwani about the differences, noting, with Vince, I feel like he did it on purpose. I don't know the method, but like there would be a show, you get a script on like Sunday and by Monday, nobody knew what they were doing. The show was being completely rewritten and stuff like that. With Vince around, it was like they're probably every week, a little chaotic. I almost felt like he did it on purpose because I feel like when people know exactly what's going to happen and you're doing live TV and you're trying to get passion and that energy, you kind of get set in a pattern because you know what's happening. McMahon's habit of rewriting scripts just before a show aired and on some occasions during the show is the stuff of legend. While Vinnie Mac may have wanted to make the show spontaneous, they were often a hot mess. And now that Matt Riddle is finished with the WWE, he has a lot to say about his run in the company, including what he was really on when he failed a wellness policy. Matt Riddle also opened up about his wellness policy violations during his run in WWE, telling Ariel Helwani, I went to the strip club and did some cocaine a couple of times and I failed a drug test for that. It's believed Riddle had at least 2 wellness policy violations during his main roster run. Next up, AEW's big problem. It looks like the collab between AEW and CMLL could be over soon due to travel issues. PW Insider is reporting that 19 luchadors, including Volanda Jr., Ekiciro, and Mascara Dorada, who have all appeared on AEW programming of late, as well as Blue Panther, Dolce Gardenia, El Sangrado, El Suicida, Electrico, Espiritu Negro, Euphoria, Fugaz, Gemelo Diablo 1 and 2, Magico, Robin, Sangre Imperial, Sobrano, Templario, and Referee Sages are expected to be impacted and unable to perform in the US. Hopefully this situation can be resolved as the influx of CML stars have made for some interesting matches. Next up, more news on Andrade's AEW exit. Now Andrade is back in WWE, a situation that wasn't a shocker given his past complaints about how he'd been used in AEW. However, Meltzer is reporting that AEW made it worth Andrade's time to stay. Andrade was given a good offer to stay. The former US champion returned to WWE at the Rumble, and while he's largely absent from TV, the promotion is likely waiting for the right storyline to put him in rather than just throwing him out on TV in meaningless matches. Next up, Kane finished with wrestling. Is WWE superstar Kane officially retired? Well, during an interview with David Gronowski, Kane said that it's unlikely he'll ever step back in the ring. I'm probably not getting in the ring. I watch it now and I'm amazed at how athletic everybody is. I don't think my body can take that kind of punishment anymore, you know? We always say never, so I leave the door open to many different things. Would you guys like to see Kane back for one more match? Let us know in the comments down below. And finally, Dave Meltzer defends wrestling fans who booed Maxxine out of the building. And last but not least, Meltzer is taking a stand for wrestling fans, defending the fans who booed Maxxine Dupri for what they felt was a lousy performance from the aspiring wrestler. He mentioned, if you're a wrestler, get mad at the company for putting her in that position. Don't get mad at the fans. If the fans see a bad match, they've got the right to boo. And even if they see a good match, they got the right to boo. There's a line, and now I think we're getting way too sensitive. I'm gonna get ripped on this because it involves women, but that's just my feeling. If you're a pro Jesus Christ, that's part of being a pro wrestler. However, he drew the line between what he sees as legitimate criticism and offensive remarks. If they say something racial, if they say something really badly sexist in this day and age at an arena, effing shut them up. yelled back at them, "Tell security." What'd you guys think of Dave's comments? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.